Clan, it is your boy King Tinex back here with another video. At the time I'm saying this, I'm no longer working for We the Celestials. Reason being that I finished up my contract, so that means more scripted videos. Before I start the video though, I think you guys would like to know I have a Discord where you guys can just talk and suggest what ifs. So I'll either leave the link in the description or in the comments below. That, and I will try to wrap up some of my older what ifs, since I've got a bunch of what ifs right now that are incomplete and it just isn't fair to you guys. Enough stalling now, and let's get on to the what if. Yes, sir. As you guys can tell from the title of the video, you can tell this is going to be a different sort of video. I'm going to be talking about Asta here. Asta, well, again, I guess, but better, I guess. And what's a Lich? First off, I would like to state that a Lich is basically an undead creature of the sorts. Going by the Dungeons and Dragons definition of a Lich, they are basically spellcasters who defy death via magical means. Ooh. Now, there are all sorts of Liches out there, but I have a specific one in mind. The Lich from Adventure Time. Now, Adventure Time's storyline can get confusing sometimes, especially with how they had a good amount of filler episodes. But all you need to know is that the Lich was the main antagonist of the story for a large majority of the show. He eventually was defeated by being brought to life using special healing blood, but you'll probably only understand what I mean by watching the show. So, here's how the what if is going to go. I'm going to be using the whole thing with a Catalyst comment in order to make it work. If you guys are curious about the Catalyst comment, go look it up because I've stalled this what if for long enough. Here's how things will go. 1,000 years have gone by in Black Clover. During this time, there have been a couple of events that have gone by, some more influential than others. Some just so happen to involve the extinction of a whole entire species, but that's history for ya. A green comet with what appeared to be twisted horns landed on Earth one day. Thanks to the best efforts of several mages, they were able to slow down the movement of the comet and avoid having it cause a huge collision. Its influence had already spread though, and a boy with ash blonde hair was born one day, or gray, whatever you want to call it. He was different from other babies though, because he was abnormally strong, and for some reason their eyes were also different. This boy had black sclera and glowing green pupils. He had this different aura around him most of the time. It wasn't that he was bad or anything, but whenever you got him upset, his whole aura would change. The whole room would feel grim in a second's notice. The priest was honestly quite concerned with Asta sometimes. He became even more concerned about how Asta would turn out in the years to come when he unlocked his magic. At first, it wasn't so bad. He was able to conjure up green flames in his hands. A bit of an unusual color, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Then he burned the whole forest down. Of course, they were alarmed. When Asta had glee on his face when he saw the forest being burned down, this was what gave Father Orsai some worry for Asta. He would try to fix Asta's mindset to let him know that destruction wasn't a good thing. You know would also unlock his magic during this time as well, which put even more stress on the priest, which is why his sister Lily came in to help raise the little nightmares. I don't care what you say, little children can be nightmares. Now, unlike canon, Asta wouldn't try to marry Sister Lily. Why? Do I really need to explain why? If I do, shame on you. Anyways, it doesn't matter in the long run. Of course, the incident with the drunk man still happens when they try to take Yuno's necklace, but this is when Asta unlocks a new power. Do you want to know what power this is? Well, here's what happened here. Asta tried to defend Yuno, but his small body was easily shaken off. Asta got infuriated with the drunk man and threw himself at the man. He breathed in the man's face, but this is where things got interesting because what Asta breathes out is some sort of black smoke that the drunkard inhales. This is the drunkard's biggest mistake as it's basically a poison that immediately kills him. And his body turned to dust in the process as well. Obviously, little Yuno was terrified of what he saw, but he noticed Asta smile at him. He handed Yuno back his necklace, which the boy hesitantly took back. He was still pretty frightened of what he saw, but followed Asta afterward. He did defend him after all. Now, since Asta has magic in this timeline, you may wonder if he would still bother training his physical body, and I'll say he will. Asta would continue to develop his magic and learn he could set things on fire simply by looking at them. He would have dreams of a tall blue man trapping him in the tree and a small boy wearing a white hat breaking a giant skeleton skull with a pink sweater. This would motivate him to train his body further. Yuno would also train to be stronger than Canon as well, since he didn't want Asta to have too much of an edge over him. Finally, when the two reached the age of 15, they would leave in order to collect their grimoires. Asta still doesn't get his grimoire at the same time as the others, but he was deathly silent here. As soon as the Hollow people began to laugh at him for not getting a grimoire though, he released an aura of death. To everyone besides Yuno, it felt as if a wave of fear hit them. Yuno soon realized the looks on everybody's faces, and he looked at Asta. He told him to knock it off and the aura disappeared. Everyone was relieved, but they were incredibly wary of Asta. Yuno and Asta, they left the library, and the whole event with the chain magic user goes pretty similar to in canon, except when Asta gains his grimoire. There is something noticeably different about his grimoire here, being the fact it has this fiery green aura around it instead of red. And instead of it just showing a 5-leaf clover, it showed a skull, with one of the eye sockets having the 5-leaf clover in it. This is when things get real good, because instead of pulling out a sword from the pages, he reads some text in the book, which causes a couple of arms to sprout out of the ground. And he is obviously screaming. Oh my goodness. If you're wondering who's screaming, basically this is what happens. Basically what happens is that after Asta read that enchantment spell, and like a couple of arms sprout out of the ground, this is necromancy at use here. They actually end up grabbing the magic user of chains, the chain magic user. I really don't care for the character at all. I don't care what happens to him. But yeah, the arms grab him and they drag him down to underneath where they are, and he's obviously screaming the whole entire time. He tried clawing his way back up, but the arms were stronger. Asta would look at them with his eyes glowing now, and his voice would change to sound more like the Lich himself. He would inform Revchi that he only ever allowed him to think he had the one-up on him so that he could gain access to his grimoire. It seemed like the perfect situation for it to possibly be triggered, and now he would remain 6 feet under. Yuno wouldn't say a word, and the topic of what happened back there would never be mentioned again. It was now time for them to train for the Magic Knight entrance exam. And that is how I will be ending off the video. For basically, I'm just going to say the same stuff I say every other video. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. Um, and like just that's pretty much it, honestly. Also, I'm going to try and redo that, what you call it, that samurai Asta. What if? Because honestly, I just want to make a 500 subscribers special, and the whole Lich one, I felt that this one was just taking too long, so that's why I ended up making that samurai Jack Asta. What if? On a whim, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to redo that, and I'm also going to redo Wolverine Naruto as well, because that stuff was trash as well. Besides that, that's all I gotta say, really. King Ty next out.